Hi, welcome to the Andrew Buckle book review of Fantastic Four Full Circle. This has just come out and it's by Alex Ross. 64 pages of stunningly beautiful coloured artwork. I loved it. Story-wise, it was okay. It's great. It's in the negative zone. Negative zone, and some characters obviously from the negative zone appear in the story, and it ties up very nicely with the Stan Lee and Jack Kirby period. And actually it's really good. There's one story I thought, you know what, that would be nice. And this story covers that. I'm not going to say the story because I don't want to spoil it. However, it's a rainy night in Manhattan and not a creature is stirring except for Ben Grimm. The artwork all the way through is just beautiful. And the wraparound itself is worth getting. Just for the wraparound, they could have sold that separately. But 64 pages, and of course with this as well. Look at that, just beautiful seeing the origin of the Fantastic Four. And also that, I mean, that just looks glorious. I don't think the Fantastic Four have ever looked as good. And you've got there obviously the back, and then a little bit about Alex Ross as well. There is a video online about the creation of this by Alex Ross, which was absolutely fascinating and made me even more like, I can't wait to get this book. So finally got it, and it's excellent. I loved it, absolutely love it. Got a lovely 4 there. Now it's a reasonable size, so it's not huge. It's not actually, in many ways, when I thought when it was going to come, I thought it was going to be a lot larger than this, but it's size. I'm not certain if the size of the slipcase, that is a slipcase version. I imagine that's very hard to get now, probably out of print and probably very expensive. I think there's a paperback version coming out. Again, I don't know if the sizes will be the same or not. Let's just go for the book. Now the paper quality, glossy. It's very nice. Got always trouble with this book quite often is these sort of things. I always think, why do they include that? Because it's sort of like a bit of a waste of space, I think. They could have used it with something else. They didn't. But look at that. I mean, that is just super. And that's the art style all the way through. I think it's just glorious. I don't think the Fantastic Four have ever looked as impressive as that. And you've got the details there. Now, there's not many, obviously, people involved in the project, but Alex Ross, you can see, is the main one. Just beautiful. Now, I'm not going to show too much of this because just get the book. Get the book, because I don't want to show the characters that turn up, because, of course, it's in the negative zone. I'm going to say that's the only spoiler I'm really going to give. It's in the negative zone. And, of course, negative zone, you know the various characters in the negative zone. And it ties very nicely with some of the early Jack Kirby and Stan Lee work. So that was quite... And it finished off a storyline that I thought, ooh, great, finally. So that was something. It was, but that's as much as I'm going to say about that. But it's just the artwork. For me, the thing I got it for, it was the artwork. And I think they look, I don't think they've ever looked as brilliant. Really, oh, can't show that bit. There's certain pages I've got. The colouring is just magnificent. Now, if all colouring of Marvel Comics was as impressive as this, I would love it. This really stands out for the colouring. I just think glorious. I love colouring. I love colouring. All that sort of thing. It's just beautiful. Right. I did find the actual panel structure sometimes slightly confusing, and I think that probably didn't help the reason why I didn't sort of really get into the story as much as perhaps. Now, it's one of these ones, probably if I reread it a couple of weeks' time, I might think, you know what, I understand it. But first going through it, first time I was thinking there's a lot of great panels, but it didn't really sort of make, you know, any coherent sense initially. And I love the Herbie robots are going around there. But the artwork is just first rate. And you got to, I mean, look at that. I always thought that the Human Torch should have that ability to have sort of, you very rarely see that. You either see him sort of like full on flame or not. But here you can see, it's just glad you made this place fireproof. Yeah, I always love that. But still, just beautiful all the way. Look at that. And I love, look at that, the costumes as well. Just really stunning. Really great. It's a beautiful book. Now, this style is very different from my usual idea of Alex Ross's work. I've got quite a lot of Alex Ross's work, and I think, I can't say I've ever seen this style before, but it's there's some very impressive pages. And there's some pages that are very like what I would consider standard Alex Ross style. I'm just struggling quickly flicking through to show much more. Now there's a few places like that, which I'm not certain why they always include that sort of thing. Seems a bit odd, but still. Oh, no, I can't show that. No, I really can't show much of the book. That's terrible, I know, but I don't want to spoil the story. Just this copy wasn't too expensive. So if you get it now, you should be able to pick it up reasonably priced. I think it's just absolutely superb. If you love the Fantastic Four, you love Alex Ross, you will love this book. I think just the colouring, everything about it is just, I love there's also lots of references to, obviously I love that, just see there at the back, you can see that t-shirt. The t-shirt, absolutely brilliant. Of course, that was back in the 60s. You would have that t-shirt. A collector's item now, of course, as well. And of course, it's virtually impossible not to show. I just noticed I've shown a panel with a certain character, of course, that, though a character that, since it's set in the negative zone, you would, of course, suspect will be turning up. Does he ever not turn up if it's a negative zone? But it is beautiful, and it finishes with this, again, like that, just glorious. A real lovely quality book all the way through. I really just loved it. I say story, not so great. Well, it's okay. But the artwork is just absolutely superb. Apparently this is the first from AbramsComicArts, and I think, well, hopefully they bring out a lot more of this sort of style of design with, certainly if Alex Ross is involved. I just love his work, and like I say, you really should check out the videos that he does, because they're just absolutely fascinating, seeing behind the scenes the process that he uses to create this great work, as well as his other work as well. Just always fascinating. But this is a lovely book, and totally recommended. Fantastic Four Full Circle by Alex Ross.